Now, should people who run businesses be allowed to use their religious beliefs as grounds for rejecting customers who are gay? That's one of the questions considered by a report from a group of Christian MPs in Parliament published this week. It says the judgment which found against the hotel owners in Marazion was unfair. It recommends that the equality law is changed and calls for more education about the role of Christianity in Britain's political life. But critics say the report is confused and could lead to the erosion of basic human rights. Tamsin Melville reports.
This hotel in West Cornwall is at the centre of a row over religious freedom. The Christian couple who run it refused a gay couple a double room. The courts have twice ruled this was direct discrimination. But Hazelmary and Peter Bull believe sex outside marriage is a sin and argued their rule applied to any unmarried couple.
What happened here that day was a head-on collision of two lifestyles, and I would have thought that in this country, our democratic society is big enough to be able to encompass two different lifestyles. I don't want to see a return to the days of persecution and oppression that certain groups in our society suffered, but I would like to make sure that we're not going to exchange one lot of oppression for another.
Judges told Mr and Mrs Bull religious belief doesn't offer exemption from equality laws all businesses have to follow, a ruling that's angered some Christians. An MP-led report is now claiming that what happened to the couple that owned the hotel here was unfair, and there are calls for changes to the law. The inquiry was set up after a number of high-profile religious freedom cases. A cross-party group called Christians in Parliament heard from dozens of mostly Christian groups. On the case of the West Cornwall Hotel, it concludes, the application of equality law often turns on quite subjective considerations. As the court judgments currently stand, sexual orientation takes precedence over belief. This is clearly unfair. South West Devon's MP chairs Christians in Parliament. He says the Cornish hotel owners should have won their case and thinks the law needs tweaking.
There is a problem with the Equalities Act, introduced in 2010 in something of a hurry, where it lists a number of protected groups, but it doesn't say what happens when those groups, if you like, are clashing one with another. And what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years is that it's almost as though the people of homosexual orientation have been given a trump card which trumps everything else, and that was never the intention of the Act.
But critics are accusing Mr Streeter of trying to turn back the advance of equality.
It seems to be wanting to drag us back to a place that we were before in history. We've made a lot of progress in Western society, got rid of a lot of horrible things, and this, following the findings of this report, would be pushing us back in the direction.
Another case mentioned in the report is the High Court ruling on formal prayers at Bideford Town Council in Devon. It's seen as another example of Christians being squeezed out of public life. But the government is stepping in, saying councils will be given the power to decide for themselves. Those behind bringing this case aren't happy with the argument Christians are being marginalised.
Let's not forget that Britain can be proud of the freedom of religion that it extends to everybody in this country, almost probably the best country in the world. And I think Mr Streeter is actually trying to impose religion on other people when he shouldn't be.
Gary Streeter says his committee intends to take their inquiry on further to hear the opinions of other faith groups and minorities. Meanwhile, back in West Cornwall, Hazelmary Bull says if some are being seen as more equal than others, they're prepared to take their fight back to the courts for a third time.